the secret war behind a public success. It began with applause, loud, thunderous, blinding, the kind of praise that crowns a billionaire as a visionary, a pioneer, a genius shaping the future. But behind the headlines, behind the cameras, behind the carefully polished image, a silent war was unfolding, a war no one outside the inner circle could see. Public success is rarely a smooth ascent. More often, it's a shield, a bright surface hiding the fractures beneath. And in today's world, where every launch becomes a spectacle and every achievement a global headline, the stories behind those successes remain buried in whispers. This is one of those stories. To understand a conflict that shaped an empire, we enter the life of a billionaire whose latest breakthrough had catapulted them to global fame. The product was hailed as revolutionary. Markets surged. Consumers lined up. Analysts called it a defining moment in modern innovation. The billionaire smiled for cameras, shook hands with leaders, and watched the world celebrate a future built on their creation. But the reveal began behind closed doors. Inside the company, a quiet battle was already taking shape. Two divisions, once collaborative, now competitive, both claimed ownership of the breakthrough. Engineers argued that their research laid the foundation. Designers insisted their innovations made the breakthrough possible. Strategists claimed credit for positioning the launch. And hovering above all of them was the billionaire, forced to navigate an invisible divide forming within the empire. At first, the conflict seemed manageable, a dispute of credit, pride, ambition. But beneath those emotions lay something deeper, the fear that whichever division lost its internal war would lose influence, budget, power, and perhaps their future within the company. The billionaire sensed the tension but underestimated its intensity. Public success had blinded them to the fracture growing underneath. And with every interview, with every accolade, the pressure inside the company tightened like a coil. Then came the first sign of real trouble. A key data report from the launch team didn't match internal projections. A minor discrepancy, only a few percentage points, but enough to raise eyebrows, enough to hint that something inside the empire wasn't aligned. Still, the billionaire stayed focused on a rising wave of global success. But the quiet war behind the scenes was only just beginning. The internal war escalated the moment the data discrepancy reached the senior leadership table. What should have been a routine review became a battlefield of accusations. Engineers blamed the analytics team. Analysts blamed incomplete documentation. Strategists claimed projections were misunderstood. Each division clung to its narrative, protecting turf rather than pursuing truth. The billionaire watched arguments erupt with growing unease. This wasn't about numbers. It was about fear. Fear that admitting a mistake would cost a division its influence in an empire built on flawless public victories. Yet the billionaire, overwhelmed by external commitments and global attention, attempted to smooth over the issue instead of confronting it. That decision only intensified the reveal. New discrepancies appeared. Minor at first, then more significant. Performance metrics fluctuated. Consumer feedback hinted at inconsistencies. Competitors began raising questions in subtle interviews, implying cracks in the revolutionary product's foundation. The public saw brilliance. Insiders sensed danger. Inside the company, tensions hardened. Meetings devolved into tactical maneuvering. Divisions hoarded information instead of sharing it. Managers pushed narratives designed to protect their teams, not the truth. Rumors spread that one division had intentionally altered data before launch. Another rumor insisted that a breakthrough feature was rushed and unstable. The atmosphere thickened with distrust. As pressure mounted, the billionaire felt the strain in every conversation. Employees who once collaborated with enthusiasm now spoke in guarded tones. Partners demanded reassurances. Advisors warned that if the internal fracture continued, the entire product ecosystem could destabilize. Then came the first public hint of trouble. A prominent tech reviewer posted a video demonstrating a glitch in the product, a glitch eerily similar to one reported internally weeks earlier. The video went viral within hours. Markets reacted instantly. Commentators speculated whether the breakthrough had been oversold. The billionaire issued a calm statement, promising updates and improvements. But inside the company, the video ignited a firestorm. One division accused another of hiding instability reports. The accused division retaliated with evidence, showing the warning had been dismissed. Executives raised their voices. Some threatened resignation. Others demanded a top-down audit. The empire had split into factions, each fighting to survive the fallout of flaw none wanted claim. The billionaire felt the emotional weight tightening like a vice. They replayed the internal warnings they brushed aside, realizing with growing dread that the quiet war had been unfolding long before the world celebrated their success. The crisis was no longer about a product glitch. It was about a company at war with itself, and the conflict, once silent, was preparing to erupt into full view. The conflict detonated when the billionaire ordered a full internal audit. What was meant to be a clarifying step became an earthquake. The audit revealed that both divisions had bent the truth, not out of malice, but out of fear. Engineers had flagged instability months earlier, but buried the warnings inside technical jargon they hoped no one would scrutinize. Analysts had adjusted projections to match leadership's expectations. Strategists had oversold features to secure marketing dominance. The truth was brutal. The breakthrough that dazzled the world had been built on a fractured foundation of pressure, pride, and internal rivalry. The billionaire felt the revelation like a blow to the chest. Years of disciplined culture had eroded beneath the surface, while the public image shone brighter than ever. Outside, the world saw perfection. Inside, the empire was fighting a war of egos, and the cost of this secret conflict was beginning to spill into public view. The emotional toll intensified when the billionaire confronted the leadership teams. Arguments erupted instantly. Executives blamed impossible deadlines. Managers blamed lack of communication. Division heads blamed each other. The billionaire watched the empire unravel, hearing echoes of earlier warnings they had chosen to ignore while chasing global acclaim. Then came the external hit that accelerated the crisis. A whistleblower from one division leaked internal documents to a major publication. The documents outlined undisclosed concerns, internal disputes, and details of the product flaw. The story broke overnight. Headlines exploded around the world. Stock values plummeted. Politicians called for regulatory scrutiny. Competitors celebrated quietly, knowing the empire had entered its most vulnerable moment. Inside the company, panic turned into open hostility. Employees feared layoffs. Leaders formed alliances to protect their futures. Meetings dissolved into shouting matches. The billionaire realized with chilling clarity that this was no longer a technical issue. It was a cultural collapse. The emotional breaking point came when the billionaire received a private message from a longtime employee, a quiet engineer who had been part of the company since its earliest days. Their message was simple, almost painfully so. We stopped building together. We started trying to win against each other. That single sentence pierced through the chaos. It revealed the true enemy, not the glitch, not the leak, not the market's reaction. The enemy was the war inside the walls. In that moment, the billionaire understood what had to be done, and it wasn't a fix. It wasn't a patch. It wasn't a faster rollout or a new marketing campaign. It was a complete dismantling of the internal structure that had fueled the silent war. The decision they were about to make would shake the empire to its core and determine whether it would survive at all. The climax arrived when the billionaire called every division head, senior leader, and key engineer into the auditorium, the same stage used months earlier to unveil the breakthrough that dazzled the world. But this time, there were no flashing lights, no cameras, no applause. Just a room full of people waiting for answers, afraid of what would come next. The billionaire walked to the center of the stage with a calm that came not from confidence, but from necessity. They didn't sugarcoat the truth. They didn't defend the decisions that led to problem. Instead, they dismantled the silence, the rivalry, and the culture that had allowed a secret war grow inside the empire. They announced sweeping reforms, the complete dissolution of the two competing divisions, the creation of a unified innovation structure, transparent communication protocols, cross-team accountability systems, and direct responsibility for rebuilding trust, not as separate factions, but as one cohesive force. Some leaders listened in stunned silence. Others bristled. A few openly protested. But the billionaire didn't waver. They revealed something else, something that shifted the entire room. The new product roadmap, rebuilt from the ground up, showed not only how the flaw would be repaired, but how the breakthrough could evolve into something stronger than the original launch. It was a plan that required unity, humility, and long-forgotten collaboration. It was a roadmap that turned the crisis into an opportunity for reinvention. Slowly, resistance softened. Even those who fought hardest against change felt the truth settle in. The empire had grown too powerful, too fast, without strengthening its foundation. And now, the foundation had to be rebuilt, not just technically, but culturally. Outside the walls of the company, the reaction was immediate. Media outlets shifted from condemnation to cautious admiration. Analysts upgraded projections. Consumers appreciated the company's transparency. The viral glitch that once threatened to define the brand was now overshadowed by a far more compelling story. A company courageous enough to confront its own mistakes and transform under pressure. But the most profound shift happened in the days that followed. Engineers who once avoided each other began collaborating again. Designers shared ideas freely. The tense, fractured atmosphere slowly dissolved into something rare, renewed purpose. The empire didn't just stabilize, it began to rise. And as the billionaires stood alone after the last reform meeting, looking out across a company no longer divided by hidden battles, they understood the true cost of their earlier silence and profound power of finally breaking it. Sometimes the smallest shift in perspective becomes the beginning of a new future.